So in this video, I want to talk about a particular romance manga series that is based in a school setting. It's got the sort of the comedy aspects to it, the romantic subtext, and the main protagonist is impervious to my charms. I can't pronounce the main protagonist's name, but it's impervious to my charms. It will be in the title, it will be in the description, so you'll be able to find it if you're curious. But it's one of the new animes that is currently airing, and I've seen a bit of discourse about it, people talking about it, some that have actually read the manga and them giving their own opinions, and a lot of them link it to like a rented girlfriend. And I actually had made a video that I hadn't uploaded yet about the pitfalls of romance. That's kind of the idea in my head that it was titled as a basis, but I haven't made the title and the video is recorded but not edited, where I talked about issues like Rent-A-Girlfriend, and this seems to be one of those. And from the first impressions, I can gain straight away the general direction that the story is going towards. And I had a couple of issues with the basis of the story, mainly because, and this is the thing, this may sound contradictory on face value, but there's always context to it. When it comes to stories, one thing I don't like is when a story tries to take itself too serious, but also trying to be comedy at the same time. Like, there's a balance. And in this story, it tries to take itself serious, but it's also trying to be really silly. Now, there are other series out there that don't take itself serious, and they throw stupid plot lines at you that you're like, okay, this is just not believable, but it doesn't matter because it's not taking itself serious. But in this case, it's throwing plot lines that just do not make sense. It's throwing character tropes that do not make sense, really, and it's trying to somewhat take itself serious. Like, again, tropes that don't make any sense are fine, as long as you've got a balance of not trying to take yourself serious. You think of something like 100 Girlfriends. There are character tropes in there that do not make any logical sense. It doesn't matter. It's not trying to take itself serious. It's a fun comedy romance harem. But in this, it feels like it's trying to push itself as a serious romance, but also kind of over-the-top silly comedy, especially from the female protagonist, where she's just throwing her kazongas out, throwing herself on him, throwing water so that it's all revealing, showing her panties. Like, it's stuff that, to me, I'm like, okay, in a realistic world setting, no chick is going to do this to try and get a guy's attention and then expose herself to everyone else. And then you'd say, well, it's not trying to be realistic. Right. And I understand that. But that's where the issue comes down to, that it is trying to take itself too serious, where it's trying to be realistic in the sense of, oh, we're a serious romance of him having all these rules that he can't be near a girl, he can't think impure, and all this other kind of stuff. And there's been arguments and debates about whether that even makes sense in itself, because, oh, he's not allowed to do all these things and this is the rule of the temple, but then how was he conceived? And then there's all this other stuff. People are like, oh, but what about pre-arranged marriages, and what if it's after marriage? And it's like, yes, but there's all these rules that he's applied. Well, what if he misunderstood the rules? What if they told him at a young age, just don't be a playboy? And that in itself I'd have to read the manga, but I don't see the value in reading 160 chapters when I've been told already, between people that have read 30, 50, and 100, that the story literally goes nowhere. It's Rent-A-Girlfriend, just light version of it, where it's not as extreme because it's not as long running, but it's one of those where it doesn't have any progress to the story. And clearly there's other girls that are going to find him interesting as well. So to me, the basis of it seems interesting, but I feel like it hasn't built the foundations properly, and I think it's having an identity crisis where it's trying to take itself serious, but it's trying to be super silly and outlandish, and so it's this kind of mix where it doesn't feel right to me. Because when I watched it, I was like, this kind of feels cool. Like, I like the concept. I'm very easy to please. Like, I'm like a dog. You give me a bone, I'm happy. Like, I'm very easy to please as someone that watches anime. Like, you really don't have to do anything too crazy. Like, if you do, then I'm even more amazed. Like, the crazier it is, the better it is, the more mind-blown. But I'm not very picky. But in this case, I kind of watched it and I was like, this just doesn't feel right. There are too many off things about this. Ignoring the fact that the main male protagonist looks horrendous. And I'm just like, God, get a haircut, kid. And his facial expressions just feel too angry, like to the point where I feel like any chick would just be like, okay, that scares me, kind of thing. And the fact that she's so obsessed about his response, like it had that in itself is an interesting hook for a comedy aspect, but like I said, it feels too forced. Like it's trying to add some story point that's trying to make sense, but it doesn't really, and then it's trying to throw all this crazy stuff out there, and it just, yeah. And you can already tell from the very beginning that the story is not really going to go anywhere other than adding other girls that are going to be bystanders that are going to go, oh my god, he's so charming because he said one nice thing to her and he gave her a shirt and now I'm going to fall in love with him as well. And then it's going to kind of add on all these aspects where it's very obvious that they're going to fall for him. They're going to want his attention. He's going to try and deny it. But this is the thing. You would think these girls would lose interest if that's how cold he was going to be. To me, like I said, it's trying to take itself serious, but it's also trying to be super comedic, and the balance doesn't feel right. Again, if you like this kind of series, I think it will probably be for you. If you like that kind of Rent-A-Girlfriend where it's just a slice of life and it's just an infinite loop, like it's Groundhog Day, where it just goes around and around and around and around and it doesn't really have any story progress, sure. Especially if you like the characters and the art and all the rest, you probably get attached to it. But my concern about those kinds of series is that there are plenty of other romances out there that you can read, and you could read more if series like this kind of made progress and actually had a conclusion. Like, Rent-A-Girlfriend should have ended like 100 chapters ago. But because there's money to be made out of it, the passion goes out the window, and it's more about dragging it on for as many chapters as possible to milk the audience out of volume sales and merchandise. So the passion kind of goes out the window for the monetization, and that's what concerns me about mangas like this, where it's more about dragging it out, and then there's no real character development. And that's very obvious from the first impressions of it, what it's trying to do, and based on the opinions that I'm getting from some of the manga readers. But again, you might go into this and be like, oh, well, I don't care about that. I just want something that's just very silly, but don't, like, you just turn your brain off. Like I say, popcorn kind of thing, junk food. You just kind of, you consume it, you don't overthink it. But this is the thing, I'm not trying to overthink this as well. It feels like it's trying to make me overthink. So it's trying to do that silly 100 Girlfriends, like, really over-the-top comedy aspect, but then also trying to give me whiplash, where it's like trying to do a Rent-A-Girlfriend. Oh, we've got a serious story here, but by the way, we're not going to actually progress it. That's my concern of what this story is about. And if I'm wrong, I'll happily correct myself and make a video talking about why I was wrong on that point of view. But when you go into a first impressions and then you see the comments of what people have pointed out, and again, I'm not spoiling the story because all I've said is nothing changes. Like, the first episode seems to be the only thing that's going to continue. Him getting flustered, she trying to get his attention, other girls, bystanders falling for him slowly, and it's just going to rinse and repeat that. That seems nice for maybe 4, 5, 6 episodes, but if the story doesn't progress, even slightly, there's 101 other romances out there that I can read and watch that will fulfill that kind of area for me. So that's just my personal opinion. I understand, and this is one of the reasons why I hate making these kinds of videos, is because I know that by me giving my opinions, I'm going to trigger a manga fan of it, and then they're going to be like, you don't understand, you just don't understand the groundbreaking deepness and philosophicalness of this manga. And it'd be like, okay, bro, you like it, I don't, this is why I don't, this is why you do, and that's it. We both go our separate ways and we go read and watch what we want. But I'm still going to give my thoughts and opinions when I consume something. I'm just not going to hate watch it. I might give it a couple more episodes just to see if anything does change and if those manga readers are wrong. But if nothing really changes, I'm just going to move on. If I'm wrong, I'll do an update. But I'm not going to force myself to watch something that I think will probably not really go anywhere too deep. So again, love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Keep it civil, keep it chill. If you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.